Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're diving deep into the aftermath of the caucus fallout and what Tiffany Henyard is planning to do next. True to her style, Tiffany is taking an unconventional approach. She's filed a lawsuit. But there's a major issue with it that we need to discuss. Before we get into all the juicy details, if you're a returning supporter, don't forget to hit that like button. And if you're new here and enjoy this kind of content, go ahead and subscribe. Now let's break down Tiffany's lawsuit and the controversy surrounding it. I first heard about this lawsuit from the Hannibal is Hungry YouTube channel, where you can find a full breakdown of the legal action Tiffany is taking. Essentially, she's suing Napoleon Harris and the Democratic Party, claiming unfair practices against her. However, things took a surprising turn when Fitzgerald Roberts, the mayor of the nearby village of Dixmoor, was listed as a plaintiff in her lawsuit. Without his knowledge, Dixmoor is only about 10 minutes away from Dolton, where Tiffany serves as mayor. So it wasn't too shocking to see Roberts' name attached to the lawsuit at first. But when news broke that he had no idea he was included in the lawsuit, eyebrows were raised. According to Fox 32 Chicago, Fitzgerald Roberts publicly stated that his name was added to the lawsuit due to a misunderstanding. Roberts himself clarified the situation, saying, "First and foremost, my understanding of the conversation I had with Supervisor Henyard was vastly different than her understanding. I want to make it clear that I was not aware of any lawsuits filed on my behalf. I have not authorized or initiated any legal action, nor was I consulted about any such filings." This statement made one thing clear. Tiffany took liberties in adding his name to her legal battle, whether intentionally or due to some creative interpretation of their previous conversations. Roberts went on to say that he respects the work both Tiffany Henyard and Senator Napoleon Harris have done for Dixmoor, but his main focus is on his own community and its residents. He wants nothing to do with this lawsuit. Now that Roberts has publicly distanced himself from the lawsuit, he's reportedly looking into all legal options to get his name removed. This raises some important questions. Or did she purposely add his name to strengthen her case, knowing he never agreed to be a part of it? It's possible that Roberts expressed frustration or concerns about something during a casual conversation with Tiffany, and she took that as consent to include him in her lawsuit. But let's be honest, does anyone really believe that the mayor of Dixmoor would voluntarily involve himself in such a controversial lawsuit on Tiffany Henyard's behalf? That just doesn't seem likely. If there's one thing we've learned about Tiffany, it's that she often lives in her own reality. We've seen this time and time again, whether it's the way she contradicts herself in public statements or her tendency to twist situations to fit her own narrative. It's completely plausible that she convinced herself, and maybe even others, that Roberts was on her side, when in reality, he wanted no part of this legal drama. Another major point of discussion is whether Tiffany is being removed from the Democratic Party due to her open support for Donald Trump. One of my subscribers actually mentioned this theory, suggesting that her political alignment may be the reason she's facing backlash. Now let's think about this. Tiffany has made some bold moves in the past, but aligning herself with Trump in a primarily Democratic space. That would be political suicide in many circles. If this theory holds any weight, it could explain why she's taking such a drastic legal approach. Perhaps she feels cornered and is using this lawsuit as a way to fight back against what she perceives as a personal attack. One commenter pointed out something very interesting about Tiffany's behavior leading up to the caucus. This was Tiffany's plan from the beginning. She knew very well she wouldn't qualify because she lacked a full slate. A full slate refers to having a complete team of candidates running along.
Let me tell y'all something. Have y'all ever emailed Tiffany? Because she has never, since she's been the mayor, responded herself to an email. Ever. She didn't even have access because she said she don't like responding to emails.
Could bypass the necessary paperwork and still secure a spot as a supervisor nominee or SLC candidate. Instead of following proper procedures, she and her small group of supporters, roughly 8 people, crafted a strategy centered around voter suppression claims. Their approach involved bringing elderly individuals to the scene and using them as a tool to push the narrative that the process was unfair. They framed the situation to make it appear as though officials inside deliberately left elderly voters out in the cold. This claim became a central talking point in Tiffany's media appearances, where she consistently emphasized that vulnerable seniors were abandoned outside in freezing temperatures. To further push this narrative, Tiffany repeatedly featured one or two elderly individuals in her interviews.
My heart to see such inhumane done to our seniors who stayed outside in the cold for hours.
There were so many people lined up outside, and it was so cold. That's the only thing that I really took note of, because they wanted to vote. They took their time to come out. We had people out there that were on oxygen masks, pushing those chairs with the wheels on.
Tiffany seems to have a selective memory when it comes to her actions. While she loudly criticizes others for allegedly leaving elderly voters outside, she conveniently forgets about all the senior citizens and residents of Dolton whom she repeatedly forced to stand outside the village hall, waiting for meetings to begin. Whether it was scorching hot or whether people had mobility issues, crutches, wheelchairs, or other difficulties, it never seemed to matter. Everyone had to wait for Queen Tiffany to arrive, always late as usual. Furthermore, reports suggest that Tiffany deliberately orchestrated the elderly's late arrival to stage dramatic photos and videos outside, portraying them as victims of voter suppression. If true, this is not just dishonest, it's a form of elder abuse. Forcing vulnerable seniors to stand outside in the cold just for the sake of a political stunt is both manipulative and cruel. If that were my grandmother, I would never allow her to be exploited in such a way. This pattern of using people for personal and political gain extends beyond election antics. Tiffany has also drawn controversy over her extravagant bingo events for senior citizens. Instead of handing out modest prizes like toasters or small appliances, she's reportedly giving away washers, dryers, refrigerators, and even freezers. The issue isn't just the size of the prizes, but the deeper concern.
Big bingo. I can't share big bingo enough, man. Everybody down here, it's on 500 people that come down here and be a part of that movement. People win air fryers, carrots, they want TV, refrigerators, stoves, washer, dryer, you name it, it was down.
The list of extravagant prizes Tiffany Henyard has given away is just the tip of the iceberg. Now let's get back to the comment, which makes some bold yet valid points. The commenter states that Tiffany won't actually sue because first, she can't afford any more lawyers, and second, she knows she would lose by a landslide. Given that she's already misused millions of taxpayer dollars, it's not hard to see why this assumption was made. However, this comment was posted before Tiffany officially announced her lawsuit, so at the time the person didn't know she was actually going through with it. The comment continues, stating that instead of engaging in real legal battles, she relies on fake press releases to manipulate public opinion. This, they argue, is blatant grandstanding at its finest. And let's be real, Tiffany Henyard is the queen of grandstanding, despite constantly accusing others of it. The commenter also highlights that Tiffany knew she didn't qualify for the ballot, but still pushed her narrative forward. Why? Because she's been enabled for years, operating unchecked thanks to figures like Governor G.B. Pritzker and Attorney General Kwame Raoul. Both officials have been good at issuing public statements but have failed to take meaningful action to protect voters from corrupt politicians like Tiffany. The commenter goes even further, suggesting that Senator Napoleon Harris was sent by Governor Pritzker himself to remove Tiffany Henyard from power. The reasoning? She has shown disloyalty to the Democratic Party, and in politics, much like in gangs, you don't
Hey guys, it's your Super Mayor Tiffany Henyard, the People's Supervisor / in Mayor. Today is election day. I hope you guys are super duper excited because today we get to find out who will be our president. So I pray that it will be, you know me, I'm all with the women's movement, Miss Harris.
Miss Harris.
Tiffany Henyard's political career has been nothing short of chaotic. One moment, she's aligning herself with Vice President Kamala Harris, and the next, she's publicly supporting Donald Trump. In politics, we can't claim allegiance to one party one week and then flip to the opposition the next. That kind of inconsistency makes people lose trust in you. It shows a lack of loyalty, and in the ruthless game of politics, loyalty is everything. One of my commenters summed it up perfectly. Politics is cutthroat. If you repeatedly disrespect the people who helped you rise to power, you're quickly cast out. Tiffany's biggest mistake wasn't just aligning with Trump. It was her arrogance in thinking she was untouchable. If she had stayed quiet, avoided openly praising the leader of the opposition, and maintained some level of loyalty, she might not be in this mess. But as my commenter put it, thank the good Lord for her big illiterate mouth. The reality is, the Democratic Party isn't doing this because they suddenly care about the residents of Dolton or Thornton Township. They're taking action because they feel betrayed by one of their own. Tiffany's reckless behavior has made her a liability, so they're cutting her off. That's the bottom line, nothing more, nothing less. But the bigger question is, will it actually stick? Can they really remove her from Thornton Township and Dolton? That's what most residents seem to want. People have been complaining about her lack of transparency for years, especially regarding financial matters. And speaking of financial transparency, new information has surfaced that raises even more red flags. According to the Lansing Journal, an independent audit firm refused to endorse Thornton Township's financial report. The firm, led by John Casparo, would not certify last fiscal year's report as accurate. Why? Because under Tiffany Henyard's leadership, the township's finances suddenly went from being in the red for years to miraculously being in the green. Many believe the numbers simply don't add up. Some are even alleging that the financial records were manipulated by none other than Robert Hunt, Thornton Township's Director of Finance. Hunt and Henyard have been working together for years, forming what some call the dynamic duo of corruption. They've been plotting and scheming for their own benefit ever since they were trustees in Dolton. Hunt has a long history with Tiffany, and their financial dealings have always raised eyebrows. In fact, there's evidence that they were working behind the scenes to secure lucrative contracts for businesses connected to Tiffany's personal life. One of the most controversial incidents involves a contract for W&W Towing, a company owned by Tiffany's alleged baby daddy, Early Walker. A clip recently resurfaced that...
I'd like to ask the trustees if any of you are personal friends with the owner of W&W. Because Michael Smith is, and I can prove it. Tiffany, you are. And have you ever been to my business?
Yeah, I have.
Have you?
Yeah.
Thank you. For what reason? Don't say it.
So you got
Thank you, Mayor.
Basically.
You're doing a good job. I say Wes's and Airline do the towing.
You say what?
Wes's and Airline should be doing the towing because you're personal friends with the owner of W&W, and so is Michael Smith.
Just because Michael is don't mean I am.
Just because Michael is. Thank you. Have a good night. Thank you, trustees and residents. Just because Michael is. Who is Michael to you?
So? What they got to do with it?
Thank you, Tiffany.
Okay.
Just because Michael is.
Okay. Can we have order, please? Order.
I just wanted to actually formally introduce myself. My name is Early Walker. I am the owner of W&W Towing.
Just doesn't even make any type of sense to me to go to another company. So that's why I picked W&W Towing.
Elected official from Village of Dixmoor. I want to speak on behalf of WW Towing. They tow for our village and have done a fantastic job. You guys have hired our ex-police chief, Mobley, who experienced the towing services of WW. You're talking about giving back to the community. You're talking about events. WW Towing does that.
You feel strong about airline. I'd like to see another one. I'm looking at WW Towing. Upcoming strong business, plus they're out here in the South Suburb with us. I'd like to see them get opportunity at that.
On the motion to approve the proposal by WW Towing, motion by Trustee Hunt, second by Trustee Brown. Trustee Brown?
Aye.
Trustee Pearson?
No.
Trustee Stubbs? Aye. Trustee Muhammad?
No.
Trustee Hunt?
Aye.
Trustee Henyard?
Aye.
4.
4 ayes, motion carried.
That company, WW, has everything that was required of them.
Tiffany Henyard's boyfriend, Kamal Woods, is typically a quiet figure, often lingering in the background. Many people barely know him beyond his nickname, Cigarette Break, a name given to him by YouTuber Cooking with Frank because he's constantly stepping outside for smoke breaks. Others call him Leotis, but one thing remains consistent: he rarely speaks publicly. That's why it was surprising when he decided to speak up at one of Tiffany Henyard's rallies, which, notably, had only about 25 people in attendance. Instead of addressing his job in Thornton Township, where he's supposedly involved in youth violence prevention, he chose to direct his frustration toward a female reporter, Regina Waldrop. His aggressive outburst wasn't professional or justified, and many found his behavior toward her unsettling. While journalists like Regina are likely used to facing pushback, that doesn't make his actions acceptable. Instead of responding with professionalism, he lashed out in a way that came across as hostile and unnecessary. If anything, this incident only raised more questions about what exactly he does in his well-paid township role. I'll go ahead and play the clip of him losing his composure. Judge for yourself whether this is the behavior of someone fit for public service. YouTuber Cooking with Frank made a great point. Despite the many times Dan Plow has confronted Tiffany Henyard at Dolton's village meetings, Kamal has never stepped in or spoken up. But now suddenly he finds the confidence to lash out at Regina Waldrop, a female journalist. That alone speaks volumes about his character, choosing to challenge someone he perceives as an easier target while avoiding real opposition. This entire situation highlights the hypocrisy that so many people have pointed out about Tiffany and her inner circle. It's why I continue covering these stories, mixing in both recent updates and past incidents to provide full context for those who may not be familiar with the long list of controversies surrounding her. If you followed my content for a while, you've probably seen the older footage from Dolton's board meetings and how these patterns of behavior aren't new. Tiffany has built a reputation for hypocrisy, and this is just another example. That's it for today. Let me know your thoughts on all of this. If you found this video informative, be sure to like it, and if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe for more updates.
Out there on the news, y'all dead wrong. Some of y'all over there that's recording, y'all black. Remember that. Remember you black. It's the first thing you talk, but don't never forget you black. Don't never forget you black. Don't never forget that they took your right to vote that day. You ain't gotta hide. They took your vote. You from Harvey, right? They took your vote too. That's right. You know what happened. Tell them the truth. You don't know how I feel to get beat down. Every day, 365 days out of the year. She gonna outwork you. She gonna outwork you. She gonna outwork you. You're gonna keep chasing her. You're gonna keep following the story. You're gonna keep following the story. That's your job. Her job is to take care of the community. It started right here in this room. That's right. In 2021, the dream began to revitalize Dolton. To revitalize Dolton, it started right here in this room. In this room. You want to know the real story, like she said, you want the tea, get it from me, get it from her. Go to her. If you worth talking to, I see you. You looking dead at me, I see you. You part of the problem. You gonna tell the truth, tell the truth. It ain't no guy, it's a lady. You part of the problem. Part of the problem. I'm talking to you.
So, Tiffany...
Board meeting, because right now we don't have insurance. So I hope it don't take that long to have a meeting. I will continue to call special board meetings so that we can clear up our...
I couldn't believe I looked at this agenda and saw the word secret squirrel on a freaking, on a professional agenda for a village. If you look on that first page, she has secret squirrel meeting on there. You know what made that necessary? 11 council meetings.
I am pressing charges on the clerk, on Trustee House, Trustee Norwood, Trustee Belcher, and Trustee Tammy Brown. I'm pressing charges on everybody.
I hear from the United States District Court, Northern District of Illinois, Hiram Nyson Jr., to you as both personal and in your role as mayor.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you much.
Exactly. Appreciate it. I get sued all the time. Y'all.